Hi everybody, I got my water, my apples, and my notebook here. Alright, let's get started with April's monthly reflection. Oh, I wanted to say I cut my hair. I've been growing out my hair to donate it, and last weekend I just decided to just chop it off, so my mom helped me chop it, and I'm gonna go get it fixed because the back is a little bit of a hot mess, but it feels a lot lighter and hopefully it doesn't look too weird once it's a little bit shorter. So now let's get into the April reflections. As usual, I'm going to be using the Passion Planner reflection questions, and I'm going to put all the questions into the description box, so if you want to pause this video, you can reflect along with me. So the first question is, what was the most memorable part of this past month, and describe it? So I think the most memorable part of April was my birthday. This is my second birthday during the pandemic. Last year I was in Massachusetts, and this year I was back home, so I was able to spend it with my family. Usually I don't really expect gifts and stuff like that, but this year I got several gifts like delivered to my house, which was so sweet, and I just felt so touched. And so I just appreciate anyone who left me a happy birthday message or just showed me any kind of love. Thank you so much. I really felt very special, and I really enjoyed my picnic with my girlfriends. They planned a little picnic dinner with some of my favorite foods. The weather was just very calm and it felt so nice, and I really cherish the moments we have with the four of us because we actually don't get together too often, and it just always feels so nice and nostalgic every time we do. And I sometimes feel like these moments together are so fleeting before, you know, one of us inevitably moves away or something like that. So I just really enjoyed spending the time together with them. So the second question is, what are the 3 biggest lessons you learned this past month? So the first one I already know is going to be kind of long because I have a lot of thoughts, but the lesson is that there is so much room for negativity to arise from social media, and I'd rather just be honest and admit to myself when I'm feeling insecure or jealous or inferior or shameful, whatever the negative feeling is, than to keep subjecting myself to feel that way while staying in denial, pretending like I don't ever have these negative feelings towards people. I think there are multiple reasons to unfollow people, and I just want to share a post that I saw listing some of the reasons why you may want to unfollow people, and I think they're all valid. I think the hardest part of it is to admit to yourself, because it doesn't always feel good to know you're feeling jealous or insecure or inferior or annoyed at somebody. And for me personally, it's not that I don't like a person right now, it's that I associate them with a time from the past that I don't really have such great memories from. Maybe I felt really shameful or embarrassed or guilty, and because of that, whenever I see their posts now, I still somewhat feel those feelings, and it kind of throws me back in a way that is a little bit unpleasant. And I feel very guilty and shameful because when I was reflecting on it, all the people that I didn't really feel good about were women. And honestly, none of these women deserve my negative feelings. But the truth is, there are some negative feelings, and it might be a two-way thing, and other people may feel this way about me. And it is natural to feel hurt, to feel salty. I know I felt that way when I found that some people unfollowed or blocked me. But honestly, as I reflected more, I think it is such a brave and important act of self-reflection and respect for yourself to unfollow and block people that don't make you feel good. I think that we should all use social media in a way that brings us more peace and joy, rather than let social media control us and the way we feel. I saw this post today that was just like, are you using social media or is social media using you? And I think that's a really great way to just think about it. Like, are we subjecting ourselves to feel negative out of this obligation, out of not wanting to seem rude? I'll be honest, there are still people that I follow that I don't feel 100% about, but I don't really want to unfollow them because I do still want to keep updated with them. And I think that's fine too. Like, we all navigate our own social media usage in different ways, but I do think that it's good to just take some time to reflect on how different posts make you feel, and to not leave it at like, ugh, I hate this person, I'm so annoyed at this person, but why? For me, sometimes it is that they make me feel inferior. Sometimes it is that I'm jealous a little bit. Sometimes it is that I feel like I'm comparing myself to them, even if there's no reason to compare. All of those things, I think, are a reminder that I am imperfect and I'm human. And it's not something that I'm proud of, but I'm not going to pretend like those feelings don't exist either. And I really am trying to advocate for myself. So sometimes this will look like me muting someone's stories if I feel like I'm starting to feel a little bit negative seeing their stories on Instagram. Or last month, you know, one of my friends was sending me posts of this girl, and she's sent me her posts in the past and I haven't really said anything, but truthfully, I don't really ever feel that positive looking at her stuff. And so I just decided to be honest and tell my friend, like, hey, I kind of always associate her with like sort of less than neutral feelings, so if you can just stop sending me her posts, like, that would be appreciated. And I'm close enough with my friend where I can say that, and I think she respects and knows me well enough to not just think like, damn, Katrina's such a bitch, she just doesn't want to see this girl's posts. And I've actually felt that one time after I muted somebody for a while, I actually ended up allowing myself to reflect, and I felt that my negative feelings were going away and I was able to unmute them and I didn't feel those negative feelings anymore. So I just want to say that negative feelings, positive feelings, the way we feel about certain people are not necessarily static, but I think it's just important to know that they can carry on from a time in the past. And lastly, I just want to say that if for any reason at all you feel negative viewing my stuff, whether it's my Instagram or YouTube or we're Facebook friends or anything like that, I hope that you won't subject yourself to continue to view my stuff or follow me. Like, yes, if I notice, will I feel a little bit salty? Maybe, but I also think that it's important to just do what's best for you. Okay, so that was a lot, and hopefully the next two lessons are a little bit shorter. They are a little bit related. I finished this book in April. It's called Heart Talk by Cleo Wade, and I mentioned it in last month's reflection as well. Poetic Wisdom for a Better Life. And I do feel like if we were to follow the things in this book, we would all live more peaceful, better lives. But I think it's also important to just note that we can know what's better for us in terms of how we should behave, how we should react, how we should move in this world, and still find it very, very, very hard to do that. All of this takes a lot of mental work. It takes a lot of emotional and physical work sometimes to be our best selves, to let go of ego and to let go of judgment and to be the light all the time. So I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I guess I just want to say that I feel like I'm improving, but my progress doesn't always look like always doing what I know I should be doing, if that makes sense. Like, for example, in the beginning of me and Ryan's relationship, we fought a lot. And I would practice very, very unhealthy behaviors. I still do sometimes, but through therapy last year, through my own reflection, learning more about myself and my behavior, I am able to better understand what triggers me, how he should respond in a way that doesn't make things worse. We're able to talk it through, and I'm able to learn more about what would actually make things resolve rather than make things worse. Even though I know that, in the moment when I'm pissed, it's hard for me to do the right thing. It's hard for me to be the bigger person. And sometimes I'm literally fighting myself internally. Like, I'll be really, really mad. And then part of me is saying like, hey, Katrina, you know that if you do this, you're just gonna make yourself more mad. You know that you should actually do this. But part of me is also like, just stay mad. Like, it's easier to just be mad. I don't want to be better. And so it's literally like cognitive tension, right? Like, my mind is trying to fight itself. And I think all of that is very human. It's hard to always do the perfect right thing, to always be the better person. And I think that I'm trying to give myself some grace and understand that my progress does not have to look linear, doesn't have to always look like me being the best person that I can possibly be. I can have these moments where, you know, I'm weak or where I'm angry, and I let that emotion kind of consume me, and also come back later and apologize and do better next time, and let this progress be going up, but it doesn't need to always be like up. You know what I mean? Like, it can be like this, maybe, if that makes sense. And my last lesson is derived from this poem by Rupi Kaur from her book Homebody, and so I want to read it all to you. I posted it on my Instagram the other day. We think we are lost while our fuller, found, and complete selves are somewhere in the future. We get on our hands and knees thinking self-improvement will help us reach them, but this finding ourselves bullshit is never going to end. I'm tired of putting off living until I have more information on who I am. I'm a new person every month, always becoming and unbecoming, only to become again. Our fuller selves are not off in the future, they're right here, in the only moment that exists. I don't need fixing. I'll be searching for answers my whole life, not because I'm a half-formed thing, but because I'm brilliant enough to keep growing. Everything necessary to live a vivid life already exists in me. I am complete simply because I am imperfect. I really liked this because I feel like that's the kind of the place that I'm at right now, where I'm constantly thinking, how can I become this better person? How can I become this better version of myself? How can I establish a routine that I see from these people who are super productive and super self-actualized? And I kind of beat myself up when I find that, you know, I'm doing good this week and then I just fall back into all my bad habits the next week. I always feel like later on in life, maybe when I have my own home, maybe when I'm older, maybe when I'm working full time, things will be more clear to me. I don't think that's gonna happen. You know, I feel like I could have the best routine ever. I could be super healthy, I could be super fit, and I'm still gonna feel like there are things that I can improve on. And I think this poem was a good reminder that that is good. We're always going to grow and we're always becoming, and self-improvement is a lifelong journey. And there was this part in the poem that says, I'm a new person every month, always becoming and unbecoming. It reminded me of these monthly reflections where every month I can find new lessons that I'm learning. I can find new ways that I'm growing if I try to do it. If I just take the time, sit down and reflect, I can really see that there is change, even if it doesn't seem so. That was just a really great reminder that this finding ourselves bullshit is never going to end. Yeah. So question 3 is, review your planner for the past month and assess your priorities. Are you happy with how you spent your time? And if not, what steps could you take to adjust? So I had a lot of priorities for April, and the first one, as I mentioned earlier, was the social media reflection. Although I talked about like the negative parts of social media, that is actually only a very small portion of my social media experience. I think for the most part and the majority of my time on social media, I associate it with very positive feelings, and I do see it as a source of joy for me. Whether it's through Instagram, my posts, comments, DMs, my YouTube videos, messages in the comments, Facebook, even email sometimes, I am so grateful for the amount of people that I've been able to connect with and help. Sometimes people from high school or middle school or even college, we didn't really interact much back then, but I'm able to reconnect and kind of rebuild that relationship on social media now. And I think that is just so special, and I'm so glad that so many of you are along this journey with me, and I hope that in some way my posts, my messages, my video, whatever I'm creating can bring you some positivity, joy, or even resonating with some of the things I'm saying if they're not, you know, super positive. I think we're all on this journey of trying to navigate how to use social media, and I think for the most part, I am very happy to help the people who come into, you know, my inbox. But I will say, I'm not a saint that will just help everybody. There are some people who come in very entitled, very rude, just demanding for my help, and I will not respond to that. In addition to that, I've been learning about digital minimalism and kind of watching videos on that, and I've been decluttering my own space, whether it's on my phone or my computer. I'm really trying to kind of just minimize the potential distractions because I already do spend, as you all know, a ton of time on my screen, and so I am trying to find ways to kind of limit that. And one important takeaway from the social media reflection I did was to not view creating content as a job. And this is kind of ironic because I am working as a social media coordinator, but I mean more for myself. Like in, I think it was March or April, I had on my habit tracker a content creating checkbox where I wanted to produce content every single day, whether it was a post, a video, or stories. I wanted to be doing something. And I realized that that was a lot of pressure on me, and it wasn't making me happy, and it actually made me feel the sense of failure a lot because I wasn't producing content. And I'm happy to say that I've taken that off of my habit tracker, and I want to be able to rest and not always be posting things. I started an earth challenge, and midway through I was like, you know what? I don't really have the motivation to finish it, and that's okay. And so I want to be okay with my motivation fluctuating as well, and to just be more accepting of myself and not see social media as this place where I have to pump and constantly be productive, because I think that takes away from my joy. The second priority that I had for April was to look more into like traditional methods of healing and holistic healing, traditional Chinese medicine. So I finally went with my mom to buy the Chinese herbs that my grandma was telling me I should get. And then I bought some plum extract from my teacher whose mom grows it on her farm. And I know some people are like, that's very like eyebrow raising, skeptical, like these non-evidence-based like ways of healing, but I'm someone who has been using like traditional Chinese medicine for my whole life, whether it's ointment, whether it's my really thick syrup that I use, or my po chai pills, Bika. And I think my body is very sensitive to Yi Hei or Yua Qi. It's Shanghu, it means like your body is very hot. Either way, I'm taking my Asian grandma status up to a next level. I just want to heal my body and do better for my body. So I'm just trying some new things. And I feel like I just have to say this. This is not medical advice. I'm not a medical anything. So these are just things that I'm trying for myself, or things that I've been doing because my family does it, and it's just things in our culture. It may work for you, it may not work for you, but either way, I'm not advising you to do anything. My next priority that I mentioned was that I wanted to slow down and be more present. I feel like I've been kind of about it. I have been sleeping really late this past month, and I don't even know what I do sometimes. I just feel like I'm just up, and I've been sleeping around 1, and I feel like that's really late for me. So I'm gonna try to sleep a little bit earlier. Something else I've been doing though is to practice meditating. So for me, meditating is very hard. Like, I have the monkey mind that's always jumping around. It's very hard for me to focus. And sometimes I just feel like it's so exhausting. Like, I don't want to breathe deeply. But I've been really trying to get myself, and I downloaded the app Insight Timer, and I've been enjoying it more, and it's been better than any other attempt at meditation that I've tried in the past. A really lack of consistency in working out, and I'm definitely not walking. I think a big reason why I'm not walking anymore is because there's this neighborhood cat. And if you don't know, I am terrified of all animals pretty much, except some dogs, but very, very scared of cats. And this cat, I found out it's called a friendly cat. It just keeps coming all the way up to me. Like, one time it was chasing me. Like, I saw it and I was like super startled, and I was on the phone with my friend Nora. And then I was like trying to like walk away, and it was literally following me. And I was so scared that I started to run, and it started running after me. I was so scared. I like sprinted home, and it was like chasing me. I felt so scared. I was like screaming, please open the door. And so that cat has like struck like 3 times since then, and so I'm actually very paranoid when I'm outside. I know, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm scared of cats. I don't know what happened, but when they get within a certain proximity, I'm actually very, very terrified, and I feel so paralyzed that I don't know what to do. And then last was to just continue that, low buy, no buy. I'm not trying to never buy new clothes again, but I'm just trying to, right now when I don't really feel the need for clothes, not to buy it, and be really thoughtful when I do buy something, and also use this time to think about what I do want, because I feel like once I get a teaching job, I do want to allow myself to find some pieces, and I've been spending this time thinking about the pieces that I want, especially because I do want to support and buy from some more ethical and sustainable brands, which are more expensive, and so I'm excited for that. So the one thing that I bought in April were these Everlane masks, and I went through a lot of cognitive dissonance whether I wanted to buy them or not. In the end, I know it's not like a perfect decision, but I'm happy with my purchase, and I feel a lot more comfortable in these masks than the ones that I had. The next question is, how are you different between April and March? So I feel a little bit more reconnected with teaching as I've been doing more interviews in the past month. And I also feel a bit more confident in my current work right now. To be honest, I was super unsure of my current job because social media has been something that I've mainly been doing on my own, or something that didn't really have money tied with it. Whenever I was doing it for someone else, it was for free. And so I was so uncertain of how I would perform, and I'm so happy. My bosses seem to be really happy with my work and seem to really value me and are really supporting me and my decision to teach and still want to stay in some capacity. So I guess I just want to use all of this as a reminder when I'm feeling extra unprepared and clueless about teaching, which I often do, especially if they're like, we want you to teach something that's not US history, or just there's so many different things that make me feel so anxious about it. But I want to keep reminding myself that I always feel so anxious in the beginning of everything, and I will always learn and get better. And I don't think there will be any job out there where the beginning of it won't be overwhelming and anxious. So I just want to hopefully use this as a reminder to myself in the future when I'm inevitably anxious going into that next step. Next question is, who or what are you especially grateful for this past month? So I just have two things here. And the first one is my chill chore Sundays. So this past month I've been really enjoying spending my Sunday mornings just taking care of my chores. I don't have that many weekend obligations right now, and I'm able to spend like a solid half day just taking care of me and my space, and it makes me feel just a lot better. The second thing is this video that I watched. I don't know if you all know Asian Boss Girl. I actually don't watch or listen to their podcast, but one of their videos showed up on my YouTube recommendations, and it was a convo between exes with Wes from Wong Fu and Janet from ABG. And I watched that video and then listened to the entire podcast, but it was just two exes. They dated for a short amount of time in college, which was 17 years ago. And they've been friends, but they never really talked about their relationship. So they got together and kind of openly just talked about it. And it actually was such an interesting experience, but also pretty healing. Just to see such open conversation and mature conversation around, you know, the past and relationships and why it didn't work out and heartbreak and all of that. I honestly felt like it hit a little close to home, but I felt just this gratitude to be able to hear it, because I think so many people would not get that opportunity to talk that way with an ex. And I don't really have like exes, like official like ex-boyfriend, but there are some people in my past, and I would honestly like love to have the opportunity to openly talk and be transparent and to see like what was their thought process through it, because I know we each have our own like side to the story, but I don't think that's something a lot of people are down for. You know, it's not really socially acceptable, especially if they have like another significant other. I can understand why they might not want to, you know, talk to someone from the past. But I just think it was a really cool video to be so vulnerable in front of the public and to share that with all of us. I think it was just such a great way to see two people see their relationship as a way that kind of allowed them to grow. I've never been somebody who dismisses or rejects like relationships with people, whether they're romantic or friendships, who are no longer in my life. I think that so many of the people who have really impacted me and influenced me are no longer in my life, but I still really cherish the time we had together and really appreciate the impact that they had on my life. So yeah, that's all I'll say for that. So the next question is 3 things you want to improve on this upcoming month, and what are concrete action items you can take towards these improvements. So I think the first thing I want to do, also influenced by a poem in this book, and it is to monitor my complaints / to complain less / to just let go of those complaints or those little annoyments after the moment passes, and to not try to let it impact me moving forward. Sometimes my parents will say something little, and in that moment I'm like rolling my eyes, but I don't need to take it further. I don't need to like pick a fight with them. And this literally happened yesterday when my dad was telling me like, do you clean your windshield wipers? And I knew it was dirty, but I didn't clean it. And so I just said like, okay, yes, I'll clean it the next time. Normally, I feel like I would be just like fighting like, it wasn't that dirty, like I still could see, blah, 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 blah. But like I didn't need to do all that, and he was just trying to make it safer for me to drive, and so I just decided to let it go at, okay, I'll clean it next time. The second thing I want to improve on is to take my time and alleviate myself from unnecessary pressure that I create for myself. And this is something I kind of mentioned earlier. I feel like I have these deadlines in my head, and I tell Ryan like, oh, okay, so I need to do this video, this video, this video, and then I also want to do these different things. And then he tells me, he's like, wow, so much pressure that literally you're putting on yourself. And sometimes like it stresses me out so much when I know that there's so many different things I want to do, and I just want to let that go a little bit and just to alleviate myself from that load, especially when there is no real time constraint. And the third one is to continue taking care of my body / doing better at it. So I just finished the treatment like for my acid reflux that my doctor put me on, and so I think my stomach right now is kind of like sort of reset, but I need to eat cleaner and be better to it so that it doesn't get back to, you know, the way it was. And just yesterday, like I lost my voice out of nowhere. So I really want to just listen to my body and to take care of it, and to know when to say no to certain things, and to indulge in moderation, as I always say, but don't always do. So I just want to continue being mindful, even if I'm not 100% perfect with it. So for the last question, it's usually from 1 to 10, rate the last month, but I don't really like this question, so I'm gonna do, if you can just kind of use 3 words to explain, you know, the last month. So for April, I felt like it was a month of fluctuation in terms of motivation, habits, everything. All right, so I'm just kind of winging this now. I also feel like I was very dehydrated in April. I didn't drink as much water, so I'm trying to drink at least like 2 of these a day. This is like a 32-ounce jar. And then I think the last word I'll use is valued. I did feel very valued in many ways, from my personal to professional life, and I really appreciate that. And I also want to say that I felt very valued in terms of the feedback from March reflections. I feel like I really get down and really honest and vulnerable, and to hear the ways that you resonated or how it impacted you, it just means so much to me. So thank you so much. I can't say it enough. I really appreciate you all for watching these because I know they can get very long. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you all have a wonderful May, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Stay safe, everybody.